are watching Notepad. I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. Earlier this week, the Finance Minister, Datuk Shahul, continues on with his periodic updates of the stimulus reports that have been introduced in Malaysia following the COVID-19 pandemic. These stimulus packages introduced as or branded as Prihatin, Kita Prihatin and Penjana going to be impacting thousands of people, if not millions, and is going to be costing the government and the people of Malaysia billions of ringgit. Much of it has been encapsulated in the Budget 2021 conversation as well. But one of the things that have been focusing on quite extensively is, of course, job creations, job training, reskilling and upskilling. And one such item is, of course, being put under a program called Penjana HRDF. So here tonight on this show, joining me is Datuk Shahul Dawood, the CEO of HRDF. Datuk, thanks for taking time to speak with us. It's not common that we have guests in the studio these days, but let's talk a little bit about how the Penjana, the Prihatin, the Kita Prihatin kind of stimulus packages have been going about and have been introduced, and what are the kind of impacts that you've seen over the past few months since its rollout earlier this year.
Thank you, Ibrahim. Thank you for having me here this evening with you. Well, I think the last 3 months or so, we have seen a lot of the words Penjana commonly appearing back and forth, and especially my Ministry of Human Resources played a very vital role, especially the agencies like HRDF, Perkeso and other agencies have played an important role. In terms of Penjana contributions, HRDF played an important role in terms of the training and reskilling the audience. We had trained very substantial numbers, in the last 3 months or so.
All right, let's talk a little bit more in depth about Penjana HRDF per se. Okay. How did this particular program come about?
22nd June was the launch of Penjana HRDF. Prior to that, there are many meetings we had engagement with the Kementerian Sumber Manusia as well as MOF. What sort of program we need to cast for this pandemic. Running programs on the normal days are very different than during this COVID-19. Those days we used to have program focused on specific areas in HRDF. But this time we got to make sure that we cater to all our audience who have been affected in this pandemic, COVID-19. So we got to craft out specially programs that could bring in quick outcome, instant relief out of this COVID-19. When I say that, we got to look out for a program that is in demand, the market could accept, industry could look out for. So we got to develop a program based on those content and areas. That's where we designed 5 important programs will play an important role in this COVID-19 or maybe post-MCO.
All right, we'll jump into the 5 schemes very shortly. Okay. One of the things that have been quoted by the Minister of Works is, of course, PSMB, currently looking for qualified partner for the Penjana Initiatives program under HRDF. Of course, PSMB is the Pembangunan Sumber Manusia Berhad. How has that come along in terms of finding the right partner in rolling out these kind of initiatives?
Well, if I put that, HRDF has close to 4,000 registered training providers with us. We have thousands and hundreds of content, both online and physical, being registered with us. Simply, it goes back to the history of PSMB. We are in the business for the last 27 years, and we have trained close to 10 million people on the training and development space. We have 33,000 employees registered with this. With this strategic partnership with all these numbers, we have identified some of the key contributors in those past time who has been doing effectively some of the training programs. We have picked up those people, got them to join hand with us in terms of delivering this Penjana initiative. Okay.
And therefore you're happy with the kind of training partners that you've come across so far?
We have trained almost 100,000 people, 20,000 people.
All right. Let's talk a little about the size of the stimulus package. Right now we're talking about $500 million ringgit, or 500 million ringgit. The allocation from the government is 250 million ringgit, and there's a matching grant from HRDF of 250 million ringgit. How has that money been utilized so far?
Well, 250 was a matching grant from HRDF, and so far We have trained on a different areas. 40,000 people has been enrolled on the place and train program. Whereas once the completion of this program, these people will go back to the jobs and will be landing on a job end of December, early January. That comes under the program called Place and Train. Under the gig economy and B40, we have trained almost 50,000 people. Those people who are trained primarily go back to the self-employment mode. Because we do understand it's not easy to get a job for everyone in the present situation. Self-employment is a must. We must push people to go for entrepreneurship. And most of those people who go on to that self-employment are the people who have been retrenched, lost job.
All in this space of COVID.
In this COVID, majority of them. And the young graduates focus to go towards gig economy, talent sharing, freelancing. So we have trained almost close to 50,000 people in that space alone. On upskilling and reskilling, we have trained close to 18,000 people. If you put back the numbers, that we are close to 100,000 people. We have trained so far in the last 3.5-4 months.
What was the targeted training amount of people by the
Penjana budget was given to us 250 million plus 250 million, target for 100,000 people.
Oh, okay. In that sense, you've already checked that box.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, let's talk a little bit more about the objectives of Penjana HRDF. One of them is, of course, getting people on their feet. And you were describing just now about the current situation that is needed. What is currently needed right now?
See, most of them who come to us, they come with two important results. They come for two reasons. One, they want to go back to the job market, or they want to go back to be on the self-employment. People who come as a fresh graduate, they go back to the job market on the certain industry that is doing very well. Possibilities are there. The challenge is more towards the people, retrenched people on a high scale, top management. People who have been drawing 15,000, 20,000 or 8,000, when they get retrenched, for them to go back on the job market is a bit tough. And those people go towards self-employment. So they come with these criteria. We have to shortlist these people. There's a long process. There's no shortcut in this. People doesn't come in straight away. They go on to land up in a training. Every proposal come to HRDF is been going through the 2 to 3 layer of process, shortlisting process, whether the program fits into the respective training provider, respective audiences. Then some of the training providers who needs to be called for the interview, we call them for the interview. We shortlist them. So it's a multiple level of process they go through before they get to start the training program. Then there's a process being done during the training program. There's enforcement goes on to check whether the training is happening.
Making sure they are turning up for the classes.
Yeah, turning up for the classes. Trainings are happening on what being presented to us. So we have multiple layers of process to ensure that the quality of the training program is maintained.
Okay.
We just don't give anyone and everyone the training to just go and do it.
All right.
So in that way, HRDF is pretty well focused on that. Yeah.
Then let's talk now more on the relevant schemes under Penjana HRDF and what are the scope of such schemes that is being rolled out right now.
5 schemes which has been rolled out under Penjana HRDF. Scheme number 1 is Place and Train. Number 2 is B40. Scheme number 3 we had Gig Economy. This is one of the new schemes which has been introduced specifically for the graduates. Number 4 is on the SME Development. And number 5 is upskilling and reskilling. Each scheme has its own advantages and the benefits to it.
Let's talk a little bit more about the new scheme, the Gig Economy scheme. As far as I'm understanding it, it's called Gerak Insan Gemilang scheme. This allows trainees to venture into the gig economy sector. This allows them to understand how to generate income following the completion of the training. What makes this training or this scheme a little bit different than what has been had previously?
Well, this scheme is going to change the entire landscape of the employment itself. Gone are those days, people have to work on 40 hours a week. I got to tied up to one individual organization. But this particular scheme has changed the way of working. People want to come in. They can be MBA holders. They want to specialize in some of the areas in a quick 2 weeks, 3 weeks program, and they want to move towards talent sharing. Daytime, I do some program. Afternoon, I work for some company. So if I'm able to meet up to my expectation in 20 hours, I can have a free time the next 20 hours. And on top of that, I don't get tied up to any individual company. And this has given flexibility, freedom for the graduates to choose what they are best at and to choose the best of what is available in the market. I think this is going to be the future of the employment industry, the job market. Yeah, job
immediately meeting whatever that is on demand. So you're creating that ready supply to plug in that demand curve that you need.
Gone are those days where we look into best practices. Now we are looking into next practices. Best practices doesn't come in anymore. We don't have the luxury of time. The change of technology is not in our hands. Things are moving very fast. So we always need to look for next best thing. Next thing is what?
So does it mean that the 4 other schemes are trying to meet the demands of the future as well? Your SME development?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look into the first program, Place and Train, previously HRDF has the similar program, which is called Train and Place. we just tweak the content a bit. We change the program based on the present demand and the needs. So we call it as Place and Train. What we do, you come first, you get the placement first. If I'm giving you a job, this job to you must come with the placement first through your training providers. We train you on the respective area where you got the jobs, then you send it back to the jobs. So once you are done, you land up in the job. So in that way, we are securing the people who have come to us. HRDF, we are very focused and we are very particular about the outcome and the impact of the training. Once you have done with the training, we have to make sure either you land up on a job or you get to be self-employed. We don't want you come with you done with the training program, we don't know what to do.
Basically outcome oriented.
Outcome is very important to us.
The second program is also quite interesting. The B40 Development Scheme. As the Finance Minister presented the report, he was also leading his report with the Perker B40 scheme as well. And addressing the B40 is actually quite crucial for this government right now, and should be because it is actually the mainstay of our economy. How has that helped?
B40 have a different level of expectation and content because people come with some experience on the job. They have prior experience in the corporate world. They have been experience in the different industries. When they come to us, if for instance people come from the hospitality, they want to go back into the program that is in line with the hospitality, either cooking or pastries. Some sort of area that is within that industry. So we have many success stories. I would say many success stories in B40 in the last 3 months, and we have many success stories. People who are done with the B40 training program managed to get onto the job, started to make money, decent money in the last 3 months. So to us, this is what is very important to us. Whatever training programs you do, we want to make sure end of the day you get your earnings. It is 2,000 ringgit. I know people who have gone into the sewing program in the rural areas.
Sewing clothes.
And, clothes. Immediately once they are done, they started to stitch uniforms, pillowcase. So we go and interview them, we ask them, they earn 1,800 ringgit, 1,700 ringgit. That's what very important to our training program. That's what the impact we wanted to see.
Okay.
So that's a different level of results it gives.
Still, you're still talking about outcome-oriented approach, where it's not just train and then it goes into.
Gone are those days. We just train.
I want to talk a little bit more about the upskilling and reskilling programs that you have under your scheme, which is the R4.0 scheme as well as SME Development Scheme. But we have to go for a short break. When we come back, we'll continue our conversation with HRDF and the Penjana HRDF scheme. We'll be right back. Thanks for staying on. You're watching Notepad. I'm your host Ibrahim Sani. Earlier this week, my show was talking about jobs. I had guests from PwC Malaysia. I had guests from Tabung Haji. We're talking about jobs creation, how to make ourselves more sellable from the point of view of the workers and job seekers themselves and those that want to earn for a living. And of course, this interview this evening with Datuk Shahul Dawood, the CEO of HRDF, is basically talking about that as well. Datuk, let's continue on our conversation on some of the schemes that is being currently offered under Penjana HRDF, which constitutes more on the upskilling and reskilling programs or schemes, which is the IR 4.0, and of course SME Development Program.
Firstly, I have to say thanks to MOF for giving 1 billion budget for under the Industry 4.0. With the change of technology happening so fast, and market is driving, very abruptly, the skills need to be upgraded towards every 3 months to 6 months time. And if you look back into the many international countries, developed market, there's people who are acquiring upskilling are not those people who are expert in this area. I might own an MBA, but I might go on an upskilling program on a coding.
Yeah.
Then I end up to become a good coder. So that is what upskilling, focus about, And upskilling has 9 important pillars. And our country, we are attending a developed nation. So we must be able to ensure that our graduates, our workforce are also developed towards this 9 pillars of Industry 4.0. Some of them have already started to pick up things like robotics, artificial intelligence, and cyber security, and so on and so forth. But the emphasis needs to be given, and I'm very happy that Honourable Prime Minister and also the Minister of Human Resource been very focused and keep emphasizing on the upskilling and reskilling, Industry 4.0. And I'm much more happier because there's a special task force has been set up to monitor this. By doing so, you could see the real results will be attained over the period of time.
So what would be the real results?
The results will be high income nation. Once you have the knowledge pool which has been equipped with the right knowledge and skills in line with the industry, then you will have a country that has a very good strong human capital. Once you have a good human capital, then you attract a lot of investors to come in, foreign investment come in. Only I'm sure that there's many factors for foreign investments to come in. One of the key factors is the talent pool. Malaysia need to have the right talent pool for you to attract the foreign investors to come in. And HRDF, we are committed to play a vital role in that area.
All right.
So
which brings nicely to that whole SME Development Scheme, the fifth scheme, that basically talks about the 95% employers in this country, which is of the SME sector. Do you feel that that is a sufficient scheme needed to get the SME business up and running in terms of this particular scheme?
Of course, SMEs plays a important role. 95% of our economy is SME based. In fact, even HRDF, we have 33,000 employees registered with us. Almost 95% are SME based. So whatever programs we rolled out, it has to have some SME centric and focus towards SME development as well. Once this SME start to equip their staffs with this industry IR 4.0 training programs, upskill their staffs, then they will have a better results. But important, we must give that kind of importance to training and development. That is key. We can't take training and development for granted. If you look back into many of the industrialized countries who have been successfully doing many good things, they emphasize a lot of programs for training and development, be it Singapore, Australia, Canada, Germany. There's a lot of emphasis on the training and development. And Malaysia, I think we started to have the culture. HRD, we have trained almost 10 million people in the last 20 years or so. Over the last, compared to 10 years before now we train almost 2.5 million people in a year. That record shows that acceptance of training and development in the SME base as well as the medium has been very good.
Yeah, but things are going to be very different moving forward.
Of course. It's no more a new normal. It's a new beginning.
Put it this way, this time last year, you talk about training for the gig economy.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not going to be able to resonate with what you're trying to say.
Absolutely.
But now it's essential and critical.
Exactly.
Some of the numbers that you shared are quite impressive, talking about 100,000 jobs, 100,000 people that have gone through the HRDF Penjana program. You've talked about 12,000 proposals coming through, some of the partners that you speak of, and of course over 2,000 training providers coming from over 2,000 employers. Are these numbers, I suppose, does it sit well with you, or do you think that you need to do more towards the end of the year?
See, most of those numbers go with the budgets. The budget of 500 million, 250 million plus 250 million matching.
It fits that number.
It's that with that numbers. But I think whether these numbers enough with the demand existing requirement, maybe not. Actually, the requirement is more. The demands are more.
You join a chorus of people that want more from the budget. I mean, one thing, and the Ministry of Health argues that they need more, and then Education wants to. It's a situation where we have to make do with what we have.
Yeah, but I think there's sufficient budget has been given to upskilling, reskilling. There's 1 billion has been given out. So I think if you could make use of the budget in a very effective manner and make sure that the training program we rolled out are in line with the market wants, I think we could be able to see right results.
Okay, so this week we'll see the Parliament, I suppose, if all goes to plan. What I have is the plan. I don't know what will transpire, but what I have is the plan. The plan here is that the MPs will go to Parliament and go and vote. And assuming that is passed, you're going to have, or you'll be sitting on 100 million ringgit budget for budget 2021. So what will HRDF do with that allocated 100 million ringgit that you have been allocated for in budget 2021?
Okay. As a whole, HRDF as an institution is big. Penjana HRDF is just 15% of what HRDF is doing. There are many schemes that we have under the HRDF. We have programs like, we have a lot of inclusive programs for OKUs, single mothers. We have programs for SMEs. We have programs for graduates. And we have special program for TWET. And in fact, one of the areas that HRDF want to focus is on the skills and TWET. It is actually, it's one of our priority that we want to bring back the skills and TWET into the mainstream, and to make sure that they get the kind of recognition what they need to get, and HRDF is working on many international collaborations. We are working with Ivy League universities to make sure that the skills and TWET graduates match up and they get recognition. So apart from these programs we are working on micro credentials.
Micro what?
Micro credentials.
Okay.
So
not degree or diploma. Or
the world is moving towards a different, different speed and different way of doing things. There are many people who get trained from HRDF, but what's next after training? How well is this certification recognized? What sort of recognition you get by doing this training program? So we are trying to get one of the top professional certification bodies to tie up with us. You have professionals for you have doctors as a professional, you have lawyers as a professional, you have even accountants as a professional. There's a big sizable number of human resource practitioners in the country. We are working towards turning them to become professionals, and we are trying to work with international bodies to come in and join hands with the HRDF. So how can we get these people to be certified? And there's a community that we could form. So the recognition can be much better in the market.
These are what? These are letters after a name, something like that? Or?
Yeah, it's a letter after the names that we are working on. It's a 3 level of certification that we are working on. So by doing that, you can have a better pay scale. Your income can be much better. That's one of the way to make Malaysia a high income nation. So those kind of things working on. With the 100 million budget was being allocated to HRDF. We have these kind of programs we are planning to roll out. On top of that, there's one program which I think we are working aggressively on the silver lining, silver hair program. There are people who have been getting retired with the advancement of technologies. There are many things that can be done, and these people come with a lot of wisdom, knowledge, and with the cost of living being so high. I don't think so with just the pensions or the EPF money they could survive.
They can't.
So there has to be some.
Not to mention some reports that we've been mentioning again and again, so that EPF money depletes after 5 years of
there has to be some sort of program need to be considered for this level of people. And based on our research and our
young and hard people,
These people can become a fantastic coach. They can be a good mentor. They can be a lecturers. They can be used in many ways. Depends on their capability, their health situation, and what they want to contribute. They can come.
It also is then in tandem with our growth structure. We are becoming an old country, quite frankly. So the number of people entering retirement at 55, for instance, is actually quite sizable, and we might lose our talent in that space.
I think we are moving towards that nation. You know, if we don't, to me, age is just a number. And as long as you have the
so old people say lah, young people will not say that.
You know, as long as you have the willpower to work, I think you contribute. You know, and that gives you a flexibility. It's once again a talent sharing or freelancing. You don't have to be tied up to any specific job for full time for 40 hours a week. It can go back on the flexi mode. So we are crafting a program for these people. So all these good programs will be rolled out next year. You know, if not for COVID, there will be many things we have been rolled out. And another which is an important program that we are going to roll out is under our National Human Resource Center. This is going to be one of the premier human resource think tank that we are setting up to make sure that we understand the policies, how could we roll out good policies, comparisons between other countries, how Malaysia can roll out good policies, and which could be forwarded to our Kementerian Sumber Manusia for them to study and roll it out. Then we also working towards a NHRC to ensure that we get special programs, certified programs that to be rolled out for. With 10 million people we are training, we want to make sure all these people are being certified properly. And there's a research mode we are working on a NHRC. We want to be a proactive organization rather than reactive. So we want to understand what are the possible problems, issues, and this portal will become one of the significant portal to represent Malaysia in the right space. And people want to know about anything and everything about the human resource, you can go back to the portal in terms of contracts, in terms of industrial court, in terms of termination, in terms of benefits, everything can be done. And this is going to be driven by the professionals, industry experts. And this is also going to bring in a collaboration between regional as well as global partners in terms of in the human resource space. So
if people want to learn more about this, particularly about this program, Silverhead program, the Penjana HRDF, what's the best resource for them to go to right now?
2021, all this program will be rolled out in a phase by phase through HRDF, portals and other mediums as well.
Okay, fantastic. That was our conversation with Datuk Shahul Dawood, the CEO of HRDF. If you missed any part of this interview, just head on to Astro AWANI, look for these kind of interviews there. And also we live on your mobile devices. Just download our Astro AWANI app wherever you get the application. Until then, thanks very much for watching, and thank you, Datuk, for taking time to come over and risk life and limb to be here in person. But until then, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.